everybody. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
Welcome to Catchupalooza, in which some people at the Dice Tower have said a game is really good, and the other people in the Dice Tower finally get around to playing it.
Nah, it's not that good. Nah.
It definitely happens. And
It's based around a premise of not believing the person who says it's good.
that is
Right.
not the case.
Yeah. You say, this is really good. I'm like, nah.
No, this is garbage. I'll be the judge of that. That's how it goes down.
Today's game,
Could it be this one right here? The enormous box right here?
Vindication.
You get a lot of respect. Do you feel vindicated?
I am a, what is
No,
it?
you don't want to do that,
A
Tom.
worthless piece of scum in there, that's right.
Yeah, one of the characters is called...
No, they're all
No,
that
everyone
way.
starts that way.
Right.
Yeah,
And then they're after that, they're like just a fairly respectable human being or something.
Right.
All I can aim
That's as
for
good
in
as it
life.
gets.
Yeah.
So if you've never played this, quick summary, and you can go watch the review if you want to learn how it plays, but you are a piece of human scum who's been thrown off your ship by the crew because
Because you're a jerk.
you're a jerk. You wash up on shore, you meet the real heroes of the story, you go around, have lots of adventures, and finally vindicate yourself. That's a really cool theme. It is straight up a Euro game.
It is a cube pusher.
Yes,
Yes.
you're moving around, collecting cubes to score points in a lot of different ways. I consider it to be a sandbox game because you can just go do whatever you feel like doing.
Sure.
Just trying to, once the game end conditions are met, have more points than the opponents. And we just played this live on the channel, me and Z. But this is the one that I played the most of all of us here, many times. I've played this a lot. I really like it. It's one of my favorite games. And you played it once.
I played it once a few years back, and then Mike and I just played it. Mike for the first time at the retreat a few weeks back. So
And I just played it with you, like you said.
All right, so before we get to the new ones, for myself, still really like the game. Since the game's come out, they came out with an expansion, which I played when it came out, and then maybe once since, but I keep teaching it to new people.
Right.
And I think the base game is really strong. The base game itself comes with like 5 or 6 different modules, of which I play them occasionally, because I think there's so much variety in just the base game.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I still really like it. If they never release anything else for it, I'd be very happy. If I had to pick some negative things about it, it's way too big for what it is. Like the miniatures, I love minis. This game doesn't need them at all. Other than that, this is one of the best use of game trays that's out there.
One of the earlier ones, too, right? I like to
Yeah,
be that this was
but
one
it
of the
actually
earlier.
uses that
Correct,
stuff
correct.
in a good way. So that's what I think. And you played it again, so I'm assuming you didn't hate your first play?
Yeah. The first play I thought was okay. I thought it was a bit overwrought. Like it's a little bit overproduced, which some people are more okay with that than others. And I thought that. Well, I thought it was funny that it's this very big, gorgeous, thematic-looking experience, and then at the end of the day, I said, well, I pushed cubes around, and I merged yellow and blue cubes into a green cube, and then I spent green cubes on things. But despite that, it's really fun. Actually, it's just it has a I don't want to say bait and switch, but it sets up a weird expectation and delivers you a different, really good thing.
I remember when it was on Kickstarter, I saw this cover, and they said, you wash up on shore, and then you start your venture from scratch. And I was like, ooh. And I started playing, I was like, this is not what I thought. But I still liked it, but I could see that people getting mad about that.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. Now, I had already kind of gone into it thinking it might be, because I didn't have those false expectations. I had already seen your review. I had already heard. I'd owned it and read the rule book 3 times and just had never been able to get it to the table. And so when it was offered to be taught at the retreat, I'm like, this is perfect. I can get this played. We were already talking about doing maybe a Catchupalooza on it, and I really did enjoy it. I do wonder if I didn't know that, if it would have been a little bit more of a being taken aback, but I kind of knew it was a cube pusher in a thematic skin, and that's what I got. But it's a really good cube pusher. The thing that I think I like best about it is that I feel like it pulls out this neat trick of having a variable ending point. Like, it's not going to end at the same time or the same way in every game, but it felt like it was just the right length. And I felt like this is a game that could outstay its welcome if it went too much longer, but it seemed to do really well.
I agree. It ends a lot faster than you think it will. But a 2-player is much faster, too.
Bet. Yeah.
I had not read the rule book twice. This was sort of a blind teach, right?
Yeah.
I was aware of it, but I had never seen the video that you did, the review of it. I vaguely knew what it looked like. And I liked it also, but I agree that this box and this look and that story are vaguely connected to that game in that box.
Right,
You know,
right.
I didn't. I mean, yeah, it's a Euro game. It's very much just largely a Euro game. There's some character artwork which is fun. If you buy into it, you can make yourself do a little light role playing, right, by buying into what's going on. But the game is a fairly dry activity overall. It's you have to like that kind of game. I don't like the end game being a sort of soft ending thing.
I love it.
Oh, interesting.
The flipping. I felt like one mechanism too many. You know what I mean?
Really?
It's like it can end
you
this
start,
way.
You start with some on the. You start with what, 3 at the beginning, or does that depend on
I
player
think it's
count?
2.
It's like this will end it or this will end it.
Right.
Which probably won't end it anytime soon, really. You know.
Yes.
And then this one might end it, and that's very unlikely that will end it. So it all kind of evens out. You know what I mean? By the time I would have 3 purple things, it also is nearing the point where you have one of each, which is also nearing the point when you have... So it just seems like a lot of hullabaloo for the game ends about here. Cool. Then just end it up there. You know, or like
I get
one
that,
earlier,
but,
one later.
But sometimes the way the game works, that might never happen. Like, for example, the one when you and I played, getting to that last coin end of the game. But I've seen games where scoring was pretty low for a while because people just were playing a different way.
And you described it as a sandbox game, and I think that scoring allows it to be a sandbox game. If you didn't have that, if it was always a hard round end or a point value, then you would have to tailor your strategy to get you there. This, I think, is a little more open-ended and it leads to more of a sandbox. I understand.
Does it feel like a sandbox game to you guys?
I feel like I could play it like what you're doing is going to be the same generally. It's a cube pusher, right? That's what
Right.
you're doing. But I do think that you can focus on different things depending on which of those cards come out. Like you may want to be.
I think that a sandbox game does not make for me. You know what I mean?
It depends the way they use it. So people describe like a Feast for Odin as a sandbox game. It's a worker placement Euro game. You know what I mean? But there's just so many options and different paths you can do, and that. Just like in Vindication, right? When we last played, I didn't get any of the green relics. I pushed none of my cubes. You can do a little color merge thing with cubes.
Yeah, right.
I didn't focus on that side of the board at all. I fought monsters, and then I got a couple of, I got one ally. I played a very different kind of approach to it, and materially different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of neat. Oh, you want to take over a bunch of hexes on the board, so when people go there, you get points. Or you could just completely ignore that and get, a bunch of every different color and have huge endgame majority points and stuff.
But you do have goals,
Sure.
Yeah.
so you want to do those.
Yeah, but those goals are more minorific things to do. They're
At the
usually
end of our
control
game,
spot.
I think we talked about, these are great if they happen, but I'm not gonna go out of my way, you know what I mean, to do these. If they happen, it's great, but
I can kind of see it being a little bit of that feeling of a sandbox game. For me, a sandbox game is one in which I can decide I'm going to be a merchant.
yeah.
And then halfway through, I'm like, now I'm a robber. You know what I mean? I'm going to close up shop,
Right.
and I'm going to go around and
I think that's
rob
fair,
people.
but people online have been talking about Feast for Odin being a sandbox. I'm like, no, it's not. And then this one, yes, it is. And I'm like, well, okay, now that Chris is talking about it, okay, I get that they're very similar. It's the theme. In this one, I can be a warrior who fights monsters, or I can go and just learn my values and get the green cards.
Right.
Sure.
Be
Yeah,
virtuous.
yeah.
As dumb as that sounds, so I said that this is a themeless game, but I do get into the theme.
Right.
And I'd
that's-
rather that be there than trading in the Mediterranean.
Sure.
And I think at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing. I think this is a good game mechanically. It's a well put together box with a couple of nitpicky things just personally.
Sure.
But I think it's a game that demands of the player that he or she get into the theme. I think if you buy into the theme, you're going to get a bigger reward. And I think some games don't care if you buy into
That's
the theme.
true. I agree with that.
You know, like for me, for example, I'll give you a comparison. I get into the theme of Neuroshima Hex. Neuroshima Hex is an abstract kind of fighting game. But I buy into like these groups of marauders are trekking the wasteland and they come up against this monstrous beast and it works for me. I get into it. I think you need to do the same thing in this game, and then it really livens up.
Although I think if you're a Euro gamer and you don't like this and you don't care about theme, I think you could have fun playing this
Yeah, you
too.
have a very nice efficiency.
I think that's where I'm at. I like this game a lot, but it's not one of my favorite. And I'm the person that probably cares least about theme and production and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so I
Shocking.
think that's the difference, right, Tom? You
Yeah.
adore this game, and I think this is a good game. You know, this is a lot of fun. It's solid mechanically, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
But I look at it from kind of that efficiency type of way, and I think there's a few mechanisms too many for me. And so I don't think it's the end game trigger. I think more of things like you can get different colored cubes and trade in 2 for like a card, right? And there's
3, yeah, but yes.
or 3, yeah. There's orange and there's green and there's red, and they're all functionally about the same. But thematically, they're so different. Orange are monsters, and so your heroes can get injured along the way.
Oh, 2, that's 2
And-
for that.
Okay,
yes.
2 in your face. And I
I thought you were talking about something else.
well, and I just think like the orange cards didn't need to also have a damage die that you need to roll. It's functionally about the same thing as trading in 2 green cubes and getting the green card.
I disagree.
But I think if you lean into that theme,
Yeah.
you care more about that difference.
Yeah, and to the point I was making, I think if you lean into the theme, then it feels legit to call this a sandbox game. I think if you're playing on this level, it just doesn't feel like a sandbox
Okay.
game.
No,
you know what I mean? That's kind of the point I was trying to
Yeah,
make.
yeah.
Now, as far as the production, I didn't like the little standy thingies. I was
Oh,
not a big
okay.
fan of those. It was like a
the
weird
actual
coin and a
character
standy.
or the metal ones, because they also have just a cardboard
Well,
character.
we played. It was like a metal coin,
you have an
a weird
option.
coin, and like a standy.
You've got an option. You can do it
Because
with
that's you.
Right.
You can't be you on the board.
Well, it was garbage, and I hated it. I would have much rather had a little picture of me going.
There's cardboard character
that.
standees you can put in.
All right.
I would have preferred if it was just a standee with a sticker that said, "My name is Scum."
Correct. I like the metal tokens. I don't care.
I think this is like, if I ever make a top 10 of trickery, deception games, this would be one. Like
Misleading cover.
like Dominion is a way to get Magic players to leave Magic and come in and play board games. This would be like, you like big thematic games, play
Yeah.
it. Ha ha ha, you're playing a
You're
Euro.
playing a Euro, sucker.
Yeah,
I
and then they
see.
like it, and they're like,
Right.
okay, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah. No, that's a good call.
It's true.
I'll make that top 10 someday. Anyway, so I doubt this is anyone's favorite game, although I think you're turning into this company's. You got the next game for this company,
I
and you're
do,
all on
which
board.
is so funny because it's very opposite as far as being much heavier on theme. That one really is very thematic. Unsettled, it's called by Orange Nebula here. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to land, but this is a game, I will tell you this, there's a lot of times I play a Euro game, and I even like the Euro game, and I'm like, I probably will never want to play that again.
Right.
I appreciate the design, I think it's mechanically sound, but I think I'm done with it. I'm definitely not done with Vindication. I want to play this more. We played with one small little add-on, the pets, which was super simple. And I'm like, oh man, if it's that easy to just plug and play different types of cards, I want to keep trying out these and see how it changes things up. I'm looking forward to playing it some more.
Yeah, and I agree. This was cute. There were. This is one I'd happily play again. It is overproduced, all
It
those
is.
things, but it's got some fun moments in it for sure. So I'd happily play.
Well, there you go. That's Vindication. We've all been caught up. We'll see you next time. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Zee Garcia.
And I'm Mike DiLisio.
Have fun vindicating yourself. You
I'm not scum.